Not Quite Right features discussions that are unfiltered and uncensored and may include themes that are inappropriate for younger listeners. Also, I swear a lot.
Something doesn't seem quite right.
Welcome to Not Quite Right. My name is Ed.
And I'm Amanda.
It's the Shortlist.
Woohoo! I've been really extra anxious about this one.
Oh, have you?
I'm just keen. Maybe it's because you and Dean took fucking long to
by
finish.
By anxious, you mean excited and keen to
No, good anxious. Yeah, come on, I'm ready. But we're here. We're finally here. So
we are.
All my dreams are about to come true. And the dreams of a few other people too, maybe.
The dreams of 9 lucky people. So we'll start off with our 3 wildcards and then we'll move into the shortlist. So 6 shortlisters.
I'm excited because, this top 6 people are going to be in our anthology this year.
Absolutely.
And so, proper print publication. You're going to have your stories in a bookshop. So I can't wait to let you know.
Yeah, a lot at stake. There is not only the publication, there's obviously cash.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah,
bunch
we
of
can't
cash
forget the cash.
to throw around. There's also the pointy trophy. The iconic pointy trophy that will be received by one lucky person. Mm-hmm. Well, not so much lucky, but talented.
I mean, I think there is an element of luck too, let's be real, that you connected with us, it is subjective and on that particular day. But I will say that this winner stood out and was an easy pick for win.
Yeah.
So definitely bags of talent to go along with it as well.
So just like the last round, we thought we'd give Dean a wild card as well. So it's a little extra bonus for one of our entrants. Let's get him on the line and we'll see who is chosen.
Hello, it's me again. Feels like it's only been a week.
So tell us about your wild card.
Well, this was actually really tricky. There was a lot of deserving stories and some great stories didn't make the long list despite being full of good stuff.
And all your best efforts to get them there.
And all my best efforts, that's right. But my wild card did make the long list. It was one of my favourite stories of the round. So when I saw it didn't make your shortlist, I felt like it deserves some extra recognition. I think it got very close anyway, so I'd like to shout this one out. And that story, drum roll please, is Why Don't You Die by Fiona Stoffer.
I'm glad you clarified that was the title.
Yeah. It's a great title as well, very attention-grabbing. But the titles don't win the prizes by themselves. The story backed up the shop window. Fiona has used the anti-prompt in a literal way. We see someone who's in a hospital bed, unable to speak. But with this one, it was mainly the narrative voice that hooked me. It takes you on a real ride of emotions and it packs a real punch. It's unrelenting of written, scathing voice, and it even manages a satisfying reveal in there as well.
Which is a rare thing, isn't it? But I noted that myself, that it's like a rare one where I actually enjoyed the twist and the reveal at the end. Very well done.
It was cool. I mean, I'll tell you, just to give you a sort of a taste, because I know sometimes it's a little bit like we dangle these wild cards and we go, there you go, just accept it. Just to give you an idea of some of the great writing that I thought was, the story opens with this line: as the crash cart is wheeled into your room, summoned by a one-note scream from the heart monitor, I linger like a crane hovering over its nest. So obviously there's our crane. Yeah, it had some nice similes like, another spasm makes you flop like a fish on the dock. So yeah, you could just see that happening. And finally, this great metaphor: everyone stands back while 300 joules makes you break dance on the mattress, or break dance on the mattress. So yeah, this narrator's looking on as this person's in the hospital, and it was just, some of my judging notes here were oof, as in OOOOF. It's uncomfortable and it's powerful and I really dig it. So well done, Fiona. It's a great story and worthy wildcard winner.
Yeah, and I'd just like to confirm as well, you said it probably came close to the shortlist. It came extremely
really close.
Millimeters from the shortlist.
So it sounds like it's unanimous, Fiona. It is a good story from all of us.
Absolutely. So congratulations, Fiona, on your wildcard. Nice. Well done.
All right. Good luck with all the reading of the rest of them, guys. Right on.
Thanks, Dean.
Thanks,
Bye.
Dean.
See you later.
What about you? Now that we've heard Dean's pick, who did you choose, Ed?
Okay, so my choice for wildcard this round, and Dean mentioned his choice was someone who was very close to the shortlist, and there were a few that were very close to the shortlist this round who just missed out by 1 or 2 places. And my choice this round was also one of those stories because I felt that it was a strong contender and I wanted to reward them with a little bit of something. And this round I've chosen for the wild card The Dead Bird by Danuki Jayawardena. So this is a story that is based around this powerful moment of the protagonist receiving a racist comment. And there's this metaphor of the dead bird that I thought was very powerful. And Danuki actually calls it out in their brief explanation that this was a personal experience for them. And I think it comes through, like that authenticity of being put in that situation and then writing about it, like the power of the way that they felt in that moment really comes through in the writing. And that left me with an emotional feeling at the end of it. And I thought it was quite a powerful piece.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree that it was a very strong piece and it absolutely came very close. And I'm so glad to see it rewarded with a wild card. So congratulations, Danuki. That's awesome.
So who did you pick?
Well, I have to say, I have a much lower brow reason for choosing my wildcard winner. And that's not to say it wasn't a great story. It was. But the reason I chose it was because, and I did tweet about this, but this was a story that had the best character names, like my favorite character names ever of all time in anything that I've ever read. And that includes like classic literature. I've read a shitload of classic literature. I've got a lot of Dickens names in my head and all that. But no, these are the best. And this was from Gym Sesh by Kerry Goldsworthy, who had characters called Nathan and Nigel, but it's like they start with a K. So it's like Nathan and Nigel, but like Nathan and Nigel. And it really fit the ridiculous vibe of the story, which may or may not have been inspired by that horrendous image that I posted to Instagram of these dudes in very 80s gym attire, but regardless had that vibe to it. And it was just so fun and so silly. And I really appreciated that. And so I guess, I don't know, it spoke to me and I wanted to reward it with a wild card. So thank you, Kerry, for giving me my favorite character names ever. And it's such a shame that not only have I finished having children, but they're both girls. I can't even change their names to that now, but like otherwise I would have.
Well, well done, Kerry. Hopefully the K is not silent in your name.
Oh, that would be embarrassing, wouldn't it?
It's pronouncing it this whole time. Okay, and let's move on to...
Oh, no. Oh. There is just one more order of business that we need to get to, and before we get to the actual shortlist itself...
There's one more order of business on which we must stand.
Indeed. And that is, unfortunately... a dishonourable mention.
So a dishonourable mention is someone who makes the long list, but under dubious circumstances, let's say. So past recipients have included such esteemed names as former winner Athena Law and, of course, Holly Sadowski, miscreant Holly Sadowski.
Well, we've got a new miscreant now. We've got a whole bloody gang of them. It's a problem. They're multiplying.
And the miscreant in question goes by the name of Trevor Flanagan.
Yes.
And this is for your story, The Potential Metaphorical and Physical Consequences of a Sleep-Deprived Writer, in which the protagonist, me, receives a, well, why don't you describe it, Amanda?
I don't want to think about it, to be honest. That's why. No, the character Edward, who may or may not be based on you, he might be a little bit based on someone else in Trevor's life, but who decides to take the idiom of burning the candle at both ends very literally. Yeah. So presumably because he's sleep deprived and not the other way around, not sleep deprived because of his circumstances, but finds himself in a hospital emergency room with a candle.
Burning at both ends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. One in his nose and one elsewhere, you might say.
So congratulations. There's no cash prize attached to this dubious honour.
No, because we don't want to bloody encourage it.
We don't encourage it. But congratulations nonetheless.
Okay, so time to get into the shortlist proper. And so again, these are the people they're going to be winning some cash. One of them is going to win a trophy. But very importantly, they're going to be published. And the reason I bring that up again is because number 6, which we're about to read, I know that this person is on their querying journey. And I'm not sure where they're up to exactly, but I know success has been elusive up to a point. And ever since we revealed the names and I saw this name there, I was so excited to share with this person the news that you are being published this year.
Yes.
And you didn't even have to query it. So you skipped that step altogether.
So, in 6th place, Another Child Has Been Killed in Palestine by Justin Krebs. Why the fuck am I still awake? I work in 5 hours. My wife is sleeping peacefully beside me, and our son, Simon, is tucked in his crib, breathing barely audible breaths that crackle through the monitor's static. Our house is quiet, the room dark except for my face, which glows white. I tap my phone screen. The following post contains graphic imagery that may be upsetting to some users. I already know what it is. Amir, my friend from college, only posts about one thing. Another child has been killed in Palestine. I have a few friends who post about it regularly. One horrendous tragedy after another. Innocent lives destroyed. They're always at the top of my feed, waiting for me when I open the app. My phone's facial recognition must notice my eyes lingering. The algorithm always knows. Amir is braver than me. As I hide in the shadows of my bedroom, heart aching, voice silent, fingers still. Sentiment is worth nothing when you're too scared to speak, too passive to act. What am I afraid of? Could I lose my job? A friendship? My reputation? Could I end up blacklisted by our increasingly fascist government? Is someone monitoring my online activity? Has an AI program analysed every word I've ever posted? Probably not. I'm just a fucking coward. The girl's pink Velcro shoes hang limp from her father's arms as he runs through a city street, screaming guttural screams. She was Simon's age. Her brown eyes stare lifeless. Black hair, matted with blood, clings to her face. The man is hysterical, pleading in a language I can't comprehend. Yet as a father, I somehow understand. He's living my worst nightmare. An image of Simon, body torn to pieces, forms in my mind. I look away. Then, I tap the screen. Next post. Before and after satellite images of Gaza. Pristine beaches, schools and parks reduced to rubble, debris and ash. Burning in real time. I look out my window at unending urban sprawl. They're building another apartment complex, crane at the ready. Always expanding, always growing, more and more and more. One part of the world prospers, while another is erased. I taste vomit. I want to look away, ignore it, give in to the excuses, stay silent. What could I possibly do anyway? Call a representative who doesn't care? Vote in a gerrymandered election? March in another pointless protest? None of it would matter. That's the awful truth. We can't do anything. And I can keep hiding behind that. But there's no denying another truth I know without seeing. While I've been laying here, staring at my screen, another child has been fucking killed in Palestine. I want to think tomorrow will be different. Maybe I'll find the courage to speak, like Amir, sharing uncomfortable truths. But probably not. This isn't a fairy tale. There's no redemption arc for me. This is real life, and I'm just a coward, scrolling on my phone. At least now I know why the fuck I'm awake. So congratulations, Justin.
Yeah, congratulations, you're getting published. But with such a relatable piece as well, and I'm sure that our listeners, share that sentiment, that futility. What do we do? We want to do something. We feel like we should be doing something. Like we're human beings at the end of the day, or as my daughter would say, we're human beings all the time, Mum, not just at the end of the day. But we are, and I think that's a shared experience of like, what am I supposed to do though?
Yeah.
Like, just tell me what I'm supposed to do and I'll do it. Everything feels so useless, but I care and I want to show that I care. And one of the things I found most compelling about this story was that ending, right? The honesty of that.
Yeah.
Just like, no, the truth is I probably won't do anything and I'm just going to keep hiding behind it. And because, what else can you do? And that's the frustrating part of it.
Yeah, and look, that's really what comes through in this story is just, it's very much of the moment and it's very much a shared experience that we all have at this time of feeling powerless, feeling compelled and knowing that whatever we do is very likely to do nothing. So I think this story really taps into that. It's also an interesting one from a shortlist perspective as well, like given what we spoke about on the long list episode. It's a very internal story, right? It's entirely internal. The action is a character in bed, right? And so what elevates this beyond, a vignette or a moment?
Well, it's incredibly inactive, but sometimes it works. And it works in this story because the whole conflict is happening internally and it's this person battling themselves. And so that conflict can play out internally. And we do see a change in a way. We see, like, it's not because they're still in the same position that they started, but they've worked through that and realized that. And we're in a new place at the end. And that new place it's actually a sad place, but it's like, I realize like I'm stuck here. I'm stuck in this position. Whereas before maybe I thought I would maybe do differently, or I might have had that hope that I would do differently. Now I'm realizing I won't. And that's quite compelling. And so, for sure, this story could be expressed differently, more as an active scene, but I do think it worked for this one to just show that conflict playing out internally.
Yeah, I think it works too. And there are a few elements here that do elevate it beyond, I guess, a simple vignette. We do have references to other characters, like his friend Amir and how he behaves. We do also have that circularity of the starting and the ending, that conclusion being satisfying. It's starting with the idea of like, why am I awake? And then ending with knowing why they're awake, but still hinting at that like unresolved problem. And we know that problem's not going to be resolved. But as far as the story goes, there is kind of an arc there. There's that circularity at least. And as you said, working through that problem. And though there is no change, I guess there is a moment of realization.
Well, I think you just unlocked something there for me when you were talking about why that might be, why it might feel satisfying. And the answer is because we've set up a dramatic question at the start of the story, literally, why am I still awake? And then we've answered that question at the end. And that answer is a sad answer. Yeah. But we've answered the dramatic question. The process of thinking this through, the process of what has happened throughout this story has brought an answer to that question, and that's why it feels satisfying. So, huge congratulations, Justin. I know, like, it definitely feels like you put yourself onto the page there. We can feel it, and I think definitely tapping into a shared human experience. And I'm really excited for you to hear this and hear your name. And I know Justin is a beloved member of the Flash community. He's got his own podcast with John Woolley.
Yes.
They interviewed former winner, not quite right, winner Autumn Bettinger at one stage. I'll listen to that episode. I've been listening to the Writing in Progress podcast, and it's always a good listen if you're into comps, which most people, I imagine, who are listening to this are into writing comps. Then you'll want to give that one a listen to.
Check out.
Yeah. All right. Now moving on to fifth place, and in fifth place we have The One by Holly Brandon. You arrive at the party 20 minutes late in a Seen Better Decades minivan. With chipped polished nails, you scrape a price sticker from the box of Legos you purchased on the way here and shove it into a ripped bag that was gifted to your son last month. You find a hairbrush on the floor mat that hasn't seen a vacuum in weeks and rake it through your son's tangles, his protesting screams mingling with your own forced calm retort. Well, if you'd brushed your hair at home like you were told, I wouldn't have to do it for you. You rub lotion on razor-burnt legs that were shaved in the sink this morning, dab drugstore concealer under eyes that are never closed for more than 5 hours at a time. You brush cracker crumbs from your son's shirt, kiss his sticky cheek, taking his little hand in yours as you lead him to the bounce house in the backyard. And as I sit in a folding chair, silent, next to chattering mums who all somehow know each other. How do they always already know each other? I watch you and I think, are you the one? The one whose interests surpass potty training and sight words. The one who will help me strip the burnt edges and charred layers baked on by parenthood. Another alien in this strange world that didn't wait for us to catch up. Who understands that while we'll always be mothers, we've been people even longer. Your son bumps into a table, knocking several cupcakes to the ground, and as you crane your neck to see if anyone noticed, you step on a cupcake and whisper, "Shit." I grab a stack of napkins and think, please, be the one. So congrats, Holly, 5th place, well done. And with quite a short story too.
I believe it's the shortest that we've had in the shortlist.
Okay.
It's actually very short, under 300 words. And I mean, it goes to show like what you can achieve. And I think when we were choosing the shortlist, this was one of the things that we thought about, like, is this too short?
I don't think I thought about that, but...
No, but you know, it's a consideration. Like, you've got 500 words at your disposal. You should be using them.
Yeah, but we've said repeatedly before, and I think this story proves it. Like, it's not really about that, right? Like, for sure, it's going to be a challenge at times if you go really short to convey as much as a 500-word story would.
Yeah.
But this story, it's done all it needs to do. Like, anything more than that might just be filler. Like, we've cut to the chase here. We've got exactly the crux of the matter. And it's expressed very succinctly and still conveyed very emotionally in just in, you know, a few short grabs here and there. So I think that's a talent in itself.
That's what ultimately got it over the line. And like what stood out to me was that what this story is expressing is something that I haven't really seen expressed too often. And that's like when you become a parent and you start interacting with parents, like you become a parent, like that's who you turn into. And you do still have a craving for like a real human connection, meeting these other parents and, you know, not just talking about kids and not just being, you know, a mum or a dad or whatever, but being an actual human person who's different or your own person, just craving that kind of connection on a human level. And the story really expresses that so well.
Yeah, I really agree. And, you know, absolutely it helps that this is an experience that I've had and continue to have, right? Like you get placed in these scenarios like at school or at sporting events or whatever where, you know, you're thrust into these relationships with other parents and, you know, you're not going to connect with everyone, but it's not even just about that because most people are friendly and pleasant to be around. And if you're at a school event, you can have a chit chat with the other parents, but like finding the one, that's a different question. Finding someone who you actually connect with and almost feel a spark with, you know, as another parent is more rare. Yeah. I feel fortunate. I've found that here and there, but I think going into parenthood, I see my mum who has friends that she made when I was in school who are still her very close friends that she sees every week and they were parents of my friends at school. And I've seen that and I guess modeled myself on that thinking, oh, great, I'm going to make all these new friends, you know, because a lot of my friends don't live nearby. So like I'm going to make all these new friends when I go to school. And then guess what? COVID happened when my daughter was in kindy and we sort of haven't really socially recovered, to be honest. And so it's harder to meet people and it's certainly quite hard to make those connections. So I found that quite resonant.
And there was something else this story was doing from a narrative level that I thought was really interesting and I hadn't really seen it before. And it starts off with this you, like you. And we've seen this before in stories that are told in the second person, which is what you sometimes see, especially in Flash. And in the beginning, this feels like a second person perspective, as if the you that's being discussed is the protagonist. And then about halfway through, you get the reveal that actually it is a first person story told about a specific person. So I wouldn't say that's a twist, but it was an interesting technique that was used to like reframe the story halfway through. So I thought that was really interesting and well done.
And of course, it's very character driven too. Like we're setting up this main character who's like, I don't know, just a classic parent really, like struggling with the basics. And then they're seeing this other parent struggling with the basics and think, oh, thank God it's not just me. But like literally everyone at that party is thinking the same thing. I think that's the ironic thing. Like everybody there is feeling like the odd one out. And and whether you are the one who already knows the other people there or not, like I think often you're still like just trying to assert yourself, trying to feel part of things more so than you maybe really are underneath.
I think the details here are really important as well. Like the characterization of the protagonist comes through because they never say anything about themselves. Right? It comes through in what they notice about this other person.
And what seems promising about them.
Yeah, all these failings that they're like, oh, finally someone who's like doesn't know what the hell they're doing. And that speaks volumes without even having to explain it.
Yeah, so very clever, very well done. And yeah, that's why you made the shortlist. So thank you, Holly.
Congratulations.
All right. Moving on now to fourth place, we have A Measured Distance by Elisa Coddington. No one had told them to, but they all craned anyway. Not all at once. A glance, then again. Soon the neighbourhood developed a subtle lean. Not physical, just something about how people paused before entering their cars, before unlocking the front door. The way conversations left space for interruption. Whatever it was, it had already ended. Probably. And yet something above the rooflines refused to clear. Not a figure, not movement, just a texture in the air, a slight wrongness, like a breath taken at the wrong time. Ash showed up in odd places, on windshields, inside closed drawers. A fine grit on the inside rim of drinking glasses. No one saw flames, but the smell was consistent. Sharp. Synthetic. Like the inside of a burned wire. A note appeared on a lamppost. Weathered, folded, typewritten. If you looked, you've been seen. If you looked away, it knows the shape of your refusal. Nothing above forgets. They looked because it was there, or it was there because they looked. People read it. No one removed it. After a few days it blurred, still legible, but somehow altered. Some said the text moved slightly when you weren't looking. A girl stood still in her yard one morning, arms raised, not waving, not reaching, just raised. Her mother called her name twice, then she just asked, "Why?" The girl said, "It's measuring the distance." Her mother didn't ask again. That night she couldn't sleep, kept checking the curtains, fingers tight on the fabric as if pulling harder would hold the house together. One man climbed up to clean his gutters and came down pale, said there were pine needles where there shouldn't be pines, that the sky felt more personal up there. He left the next day, didn't pack, just kept driving, like if he stopped it might notice. The Jensen house gained a shadow with inconsistent edges. It stretched toward windows that had long since been covered. The bulletin board at the post office began curling at the edges, flyers faded faster than normal, thumbtacks rusted overnight. Someone suggested humidity. No one confirmed. An instinct like crossing a room with the lights off and not wanting to confirm what's in the corner. And yet, sometimes a person still forgets, pauses mid-step, head tilts just for a second. A flicker of curiosity, of recognition. They still check the curtains, fingers tight on the fabric, but by now, everyone understands. It isn't what's outside that waits. It's the distance itself that's being measured. And the distance always moves closer. So congratulations, Elisa. Well done on 4th place. A very creepy story. It gave me the creeps. I don't know about you.
Yeah, look, it's a very strange one. It's evocative, it's mysterious, and it reminds me of like some of our former shortlisted stories. In our very first round of the comp, I believe it was Penville Park, which is a mysterious story about aliens, and this one had kind of a similar vibe, right? We don't really know.
What was it about aliens? I
about
believe
God,
George.
yeah,
we were putting our own interpretation.
Yeah.
When we finally asked the author, he was like, I don't know.
And it could be a similar thing here. So according to the brief explanation, in a quiet neighborhood, strange things begin to happen after people start glancing upward. Something is watching, but it's not the sky they need to worry about. It's the space between. And like that's really, I find this a really interesting idea because like there are certain things that you can do in literature and writing that you can't do in visual forms. One of those things is talk about the space between as if it's a place that exists and try to make sense of that. And in a story like this, I find it's very provocative to try and tease apart what could it mean and what kind of ideas does that conjure up for you.
What I love about that brief explanation is that it explained nothing. I'm still left wondering, like, what is happening? And yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, I think some movies do go there, like exploring these sort of concepts. Like we're afraid of something that's like intangible, you know, and that's what this is. We're afraid of something intangible. But I think what's cool about this story is that it's all pointing to that same feeling. So this idea of the girl whose hands are just raised and it's always a kid, isn't it, who's just creepy as, like, who's just like out there doing something creepy. And you know, I think of Bird Box and
I was thinking about that too.
What's the silent one with Emily Blunt and
Quiet Place?
Quiet Place. Yeah, I haven't actually seen that one, but it's like the monster is invisible kind of thing, and it really had that vibe to it.
Yeah, and so it's not enough just to have like a creepy vibe idea and be mysterious. I think what this story does very well is that it's actually a very visual story. Like it's full of these little details of ash falling and people raising their hands, and you can picture all of this happening. But there are things that you just can't picture, like why and what are they looking at and where and all that kind of thing, and what do you mean? Like all of these questions it's that juxtaposition between the things that are so clearly shown and the things that you have to try and piece together that makes it so compelling.
And, you know, you say like it couldn't be a movie, but I feel like M. Night Shyamalan would give it a red hot go and like do a pretty good job of it, to be honest. But I really enjoyed it and I didn't know what to make of it, but I didn't care. It was like Penville Park in that way. It's like, it's a vibe and a creepy one. Yeah,
wonderfully evocative and mysterious, and the prose really drives it, and great job. Well done, Elisa. Okay, we're up to the podium now. We're into 3rd place. So in 3rd place, and the recipient of $500 Australian is Bin Boy by Sam James. In moments of low self-esteem, I tell myself to get in the bin. It's all I deserve, really. I'm a dirty little bin boy, incapable of doing anything right. I'm selfish and lazy, and succumb too easily to the instinctive inaction brought on by anxiety. Yesterday we argued. Apparently, I never offered to make her breakfast. "You never offered to make me breakfast," she said. I took the accusation dumbly. It's true. My morning coffee is a pseudo-sacred ritual, a personal communion. I cannot bear interruptions when measuring and grinding the beans, pouring a spiral from my special gooseneck kettle. It's a daily moment of solemn reflection. Now, it seems just another way I let her down. Bin boy. Even in this framing, it's about me. The cruel irony of low self-esteem is the amount of time spent thinking about oneself. I never make her breakfast. Perhaps rather, she never has breakfast made for her. Less something to blame myself for, more a manageable problem to tackle. Today, I burnt the toast. Reframe, the toast was burnt by me. Such a romantic wake-up call, a smoke alarm. She emerges to quite a sight. Me, dishevelled and shamefaced, knife in hand and a blanket of blackened scrapings covering a surprisingly large area of the counter. Without missing a beat, she climbs a chair, deactivates the alarm and opens a window. Why didn't I think to do that? "Thanks for breakfast," she says, kissing my cheek. "Salvage what you can. I'll get ready." I clean up and notice the bin is overfull. There's a small win. I can solve that if nothing else. I tie the bag and take it out to the driveway, mulling on my shortcomings as I go. The rubbish goes in the bin. I go in the bin. I'm not really cognizant of it as it's happening, only snapping into awareness as the lid closes above me. I don't know why, but the reek of old coffee grounds, rotting veg and miscellaneous refuse is somehow comforting, like I'm meant to be here. The rank condensation on the walls of the bin seeps through my clothes. I hear the lorry further up the street. Collection day. Wheelie bins are being craned, hoisted, swallowed whole. If I stay quiet, maybe they'll swallow me. As I contemplate what it would be like to be compacted, the lid creaks open.
Oh.
"There you are," she says. "It's bin day." "Yep." She considers me, huddled and soaked in self-pity, and shuts the lid. The world tilts and I'm wheeled to the street, bumped down a curb. A hysterical laugh, raw and unexpected, tears through me. A sudden realisation of the utter absurdity of hiding in a wheelie bin. Halfway up the road, a bin man pauses. "What was that?" She gives the lid a firm, possessive thump. "It's my bin boy." I can hear her smiling. She's right. I'm a dirty little bin boy, selfish, lazy, covered in bin juice. But that doesn't matter. I'm hers. So congratulations, Sam. And look, Sam's left us with a voicemail as well, probably in expectation of his shortlisting, I'm sure. So we'll play that now.
Hi Ed, hi Amanda, this is Sam James from England. Now, for most of my not quite right entries, I've tended to go with pretty out there concepts. I've given you infinite snot, sentient desks, and zebras that play football. But for this July 2025 entry, I gave you what is, for me, quite a realistic and grounded scene in reality in my story, Bin Boy. Now, I thought you might be interested to know that the reason why it is so relatively grounded is that it is based on a true story. I am sorry to say. The morning of the deadline for the July prize, I had this argument that became the basis of the story with my partner, where I was accused of never making her breakfast. Luckily, I will say I didn't spiral quite as far as the protagonist in my story, but bin boy is something that I have been known to call myself before. Anyway, thanks for everything you do. I love this prize and competition. It is a highlight of my year every time it comes round.
So, yeah, it's surprising to hear that this comes from a real place. And once again, that authenticity does shine through, even though it is
utterly absurd, you might say.
Situation.
I mean, I'm not surprised that it came from a place of truth. I could feel that. And, you know, that wrestling with, I think the moment that got me in particular, apart from that line, I'm a dirty little bin boy,
Yes.
which is just such a great line and really grew on me more and more every time I read it. But also just that battle within himself of like that self-pity, but also the selfishness of that self-pity and how self-focused it is. Like that's the kind of stupid thought process I get stuck in as well, of like wanting to do something and then getting so caught up in yourself, basically. And it's incredibly relatable. I've never got in the bin. I can't fathom getting in the bin. That's so disgusting.
Yeah.
But mentally and emotionally, I've been in the bin. So,
Look, there's so many layers to this story and so much that I love. First of all, it's the concept of the dirty little bin boy, which I put in my notes, reminds me very much of an Auntie Donna skit. And I'm not sure if our listeners are familiar. It's an Australian sketch comedy group called Auntie Donna, but it's just that it has that vibe, like dirty little bin boy.
yes. And once you said that to me, it was Broden's voice saying, I'm a dirty little bin boy.
Got him on to read that. Yeah, so there's that whole like absurdity of just the bin boy angle. I love so many details in this story. I love just the moment of yesterday we argued, apparently I never offer to make her breakfast. You never offer to make me breakfast, she said. Like that's a great little moment. And the absurdity not only of getting in the bin, but then to have her come out and be like, oh, that's my bin boy, and let him be taken out. Like that's so funny. And at the heart of it, just being incredibly romantic as well.
Yes,
like
very
it is a romance story wrapped up in a bin.
I'm realising that we're full-blown suckers for romance. Like there seems to be one that sneaks in every round. So I guess that's just us too. But
But this is a very unique take on
yeah,
romance.
it is a unique take. Well, they usually are, aren't they?
Yeah,
It's not just a straight romance, is it? There's always something going on. But that is what's so sweet about it. It is, and this is where, you know, we were saying back in the long list episode about making the universal personal. Like we've got this universal feeling of not being good enough and disappointing our partner or whatever and struggling with that, but turning that into something very personal about this very unique experience of feeling like a bin boy and then getting in the bin. But we can empathise with it because we can empathise with all those feelings, right?
Yeah.
And that it would drive you to do that. Okay, like we can appreciate that as being like realistic because we've accepted everything else that's come up to that point. But this was definitely a story that just grew on me more and more every time I read it. And I really do love it. And Sam shortlisted before with some wild stuff. And I do always appreciate Sam's work because it's always good fun.
Yeah, so congratulations, Sam, on another shortlisting.
Well done. All right. Now, in second place, and I'm really excited about this one too.
Me too.
Yeah, when I got the names and I was like, oh my God, because this is one of our OGs. And in fact, and I'm going to spoil the surprise now, but it was one of our OGs who was actually a wild card in our very first round of the competition. But in second place, it is Checking You Out, Romance at Register 3 by Ella McAuliffe. Packet of gum, Caesar salad mix, a single banana. Each is placed with precision, tanned fingers drumming on the conveyor. MJ, he reads, squinting at my name badge. Cool name. What's it short for? Mary Jane? No. I clear my throat. I scan the gum. Beep. My parents just like the letters together? He flicks his auburn hair from his eyes and it falls back to where it was. Beep. One banana. Does this mean he's single? At least it's a good conversation starter. Mine's Adam. Oh, what's that short for? He cocks his head and his smile tilts sideways, and I wish the building would collapse. Nothing. My parents just like the letters together. Adam's grin does nothing to douse the embarrassment burning my cheeks. Packet of flower seeds, chicken and lettuce sandwich, 1 banana. I scan the seeds, mind scrambling for something clever to say. Cool seeds. They for planting? Adam fights a smile. How do you always guess these things? I'm hoping to attract the birds. And the banana, you planting that too? The beep of the banana being scanned is excruciatingly loud. His nose screws up as he emits a perfect snort. Nope, just a snack. Oh, right, because it's food. For eating. Do you want a bag? Nah, I'm all right, thanks. He turns and I crane my neck to watch him go. I wish I could grab his face and kiss his gorgeous flower planting. See you tomorrow, MJ. Spiral pasta, fresh basil, 1 banana. Of all the registers, his food appears at mine. Hi, Adam, how are you? My voice cracks like a teenage boy's, real smooth. He smiles distractedly, pulling out his leather wallet. What's the basil for? Do you eat it raw, or are you making a basil thing? He half grins, eyes shifting to check his phone. Pesto. I'm making pesto pasta. Images flash before me, this perfect man cooking me pesto pasta, eyes locking over glasses of Chardonnay. Beep, beep, beep. Fancy. I pass his banana. What, the banana? No, the pasta. I wring my hands beneath the counter. Banana's cool though, loads of potassium. Adam's lips twitch, eyes averted. My heart plummets. Too true, MJ. Gotta keep the potassium levels up. I fillet steaks, potato salad, 2 bananas. 2 bananas? Beep, beep. Silence. My chest is full of stones and my mouth betrays me. Who's the lucky girl? I blurt. Or guy, or monkey? He snorts, grabbing his groceries. You know me too well, MJ. He calls over his shoulder. On the bench, 1 banana, neglected in his thoughts of someone else. Wait, Adam, you forgot your... He swivels, eyes locked in the fluorescent glow of the sliding doors. I raise the fruit and that's when I catch sight of them. 10 digits etched upon the skin. Adam fumbles with his banana, holds it to his ear and mouths 2 words into the curve. Call me? So a huge congratulations, Ella. I was so thrilled to see your name there, and I hope you're thrilled to hear it called out. You've long listed before, you won a wild card, but now you've gone the trifecta.
Yeah, and, second place.
Second place. I mean, there's always going to be that niggle of the next place up, but that's amazing effort. And it's a cute little, dorky little love story, and apparently that's what sells here at Not Quite Right. So well done on spotting that.
Yeah, and it's been, look, we both got very excited seeing your name and just remembering, you're Amanda's very first wild card at the beginning of last year.
Do you know what else is funny about this story? And in fact, in my initial comments, I'm like, Dean's going to hate this, right? Because Dean doesn't love a meet cute.
Yeah.
He'll be honest about that. And specifically doesn't love a checkout meet cute.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit of a trope that's been done a few times. And of course, he's been around the traps a long time and he's probably seen it more than once. But it was fresh for me. And do you know what else? That's how my parents met. So,
Oh, really?
so I might not exist if it wasn't for a checkout love story. But the other thing was that when I first read this story, it did give me goosebumps, which is so silly. Like just the cuteness factor, but also the realness factor, like this awkwardness and this feeling of, I've blown it. And, you know, that's what we had in Greg's story as well, in Love in the Time of Flatulence story, but where it's a romance, but you've got that conflict going, that like, oh God, I've lost it all. It's not going to work. And, but then it's your awkwardness that wins the day. Like it's the thing between you that actually ends up being the thing that brings you together. And I think that's a very successful way to end a romance.
And yeah, like just a really cute interaction, very awkward and very authentic as well. And what really puts it over the top, I think, is just that moment, the ending, the numbers on the banana, done very well.
Absolutely. And this was one of those stories that was an instant yes for the long list from me, and I think from you as well. It was just like structurally tick, 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 just had so much going for it. So an easy pick for the shortlist as well. And I know that Ella is quite young too. She's one of our younger entrants. And I was looking back through our data to see if she'd put that in and to see how old she was, in fact, and discovered that it's actually her birthday really soon. Like, I'm not sure if it'll be before or after this episode goes out, but I just wanted to say happy birthday, Ella. And I hope this was a good enough birthday present from us to you. But you are an amazing writer and we can't wait to see where you take this talent of yours. So huge congratulations, and I hope you're still celebrating.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Ella. But there can be only one winner.
And everyone whose name wasn't just called in that series of names is hanging on the edge of their seats.
Right now, you're all in the running. So this person will win not only the Not Quite Right prize, but 1,500 Australian dollars.
Sounds good so far.
Publication in the Not Quite Right prize anthology for this year, as will all our shortlisters. And maybe most importantly, a big pointy trophy.
Yeah, which can be used as an instrument of torture, murder, whatever you might. Yeah.
Can and should, if you ask me.
Wait, is this the Ed who was committing murder?
Okay, so without further ado, the winner of the July 2025 Not Quite Right prize for flash fiction is Fold, Burn, Inhale by Elder Orozco. The paper crane had been folded on the night of her funeral. His hands, rigid with grief, had pressed each crease hard and fast as if he could force life into it. When he set it on the windowsill, the moonlight caught its frame and its wings fluttered as if alive, releasing a hint of ink and her perfume. Richard, you shouldn't have done that. Her voice whispered from the paper. He laughed through the tears, pressed the crane to his lips like a sacrament. If I fold 1,000 birds, will you stay with me? Maybe. For weeks, Nina stayed with him, a ghost in origami, perched on his pillow. At night, she nestled against his neck, her sharp beak pricking his pulse point, like a reminder of life. The voice was hers, but her body was wrong. Where her pink softness had once contoured against him, now she was no more than grey geometry. You can unfold me, she teased as she traced his collarbone with the razor edge of one wing. He tried, once. His quivering fingers pried at her seams, but she spread into sharp, parched planes. She wasn't flesh, but a delicate thing, a prison of lines where curves should be. I want more, he muttered, though the way she tilted her head, exactly like her, made his chest ache. I want to feel you, he sobbed as he refolded her. But grief didn't take away the hunger. At dawn, he slid the crane between his lips, letting her voice vibrate against his. He wanted to soften her, to make her moan like she had under his hands, to feel her skin. But his lips came away damp, not with glue, but with salt, as if she'd been crying. Time passed, but he couldn't move on. Nina had grown weak in his palms, like a love letter left in the rain. He tried everything: kisses, blood, breath. But paper couldn't love him back. Not yet. One night, delirious and desperate, Richard held her over a candle. "Yes," she hissed as the flickering flame licked her. The sheet curled like a living soul, her edges blackened, as if the heat had loosened her. And for a fractured second, she was pliant in his hands, until the fire swallowed her whole. Ash curled upward, not in smoke, but in sinuous shapes, spiralling around him. Without hesitation, he inhaled, and his lungs were filled with her. Her laughter tickled within, and a smile appeared on his lips as she kissed his bloodstream. He stood before the mirror, watching Nina's silhouette move beneath his skin, like a second shadow. "Nina, I can feel you. Can you feel me?" Her answer was the press of phantom lips to his pulse, the glide of her hands, his hands, down his stomach. Outside, snow fell. Inside, they burned. And for once, the hunger was satisfied. So congratulations, Elder.
Huge congratulations. That's awesome. I'm so happy to see you succeed.
And look, this was a standout from like the moment we read it. It was really a strong contender for the shortlist and very clear winner.
Absolutely. This was another story that gave me goosebumps. I believe my initial reaction was, holy shit. And look, I know that's not going to be everyone's reaction, but that was my reaction. That's what you got out of me. I hadn't even finished the story when that was my reaction. And look, it's a completely bizarre sort of setup.
Yeah.
We've got a guy who's like, I don't know, getting intimate with a paper crane, but it's just expressed in such a way that it feels very real, while at the same time, like allowing for it to just be all in his imagination. Like he presses his lips to it and they come away salty. Like whose tears is it? He says it's hers, but that's what's compelling about it. And of course, grief is a very powerful emotion, and it can make us lose touch with reality a little. It can make us want to lose touch with reality a little, you know. But I think this idea of people living on, we all want that, right? We all hope for that and can feel it sometimes. If you have ever lost anyone who's close to you, like they can still feel very much there. So I think all of that is wrapped up into what is quite a bizarre scenario, but ultimately completely relatable from an emotional perspective.
Yeah. And look, the story was up against it because we mentioned in the long list episode stories about origami cranes and origami cranes burning. We were like flush with those stories. So here's one that won. And what stood out, you know, about this story, it really was that uniqueness and, as you say, relatable, but also a fairly unhinged kind of character being described here, which you'd expect in this situation, like the grief that they're going through, but telling the story of how they're responding to grief through these physical manifestations of like their grief. And what I think ties this story so well together is that act of burning and then like inhaling the smoke and then having her enter him through the smoke. Like that's weird. And that was so compelling. And then like that being the perfect manifestation of like the prompts.
And look, you say unique, but it definitely wasn't the only story which paired grief with paper cranes and burning, right? And, you know, that's clearly the images that these prompts evoked for multiple authors. And that's not to say the others weren't compelling too, because I can think of at least 2 others that, you know, dealt with very similar themes and did so in a really engaging way. And so I guess ultimately it comes down to what we engaged with, what we connected with. And I do think that the emotional resonance of this piece was really strong. And I think that's ultimately what set it apart. And this was a round where that felt a little bit wanting. You know, we were getting a lot of really deep and heartfelt stuff, but it wasn't coming across in story form.
Yeah. But look, it's got all of the things that we talk about in story where we've got that strong connection with a character, right? Where we're being shown the character's actions. It's within a scene. It's a full story arc. Like there's the wanting to bring her back to life, to connect. And then there's that resolution of how he burns the crane and then breathes it in and that kind of satisfying conclusion. So not just the vignette, not just the image and the emotion, but we get that whole story arc and we get it told at that direct visual, immediate level, which is all of those elements that we always talk about, all present in this story. And I think that's why it stood out. So well done, Elder.
Yeah, huge congratulations. This is a big achievement. Like, once again, this is 340 people and you've risen right to the very top of that in our estimation. And yeah, we can't wait to see your story in print form in the anthology.
Absolutely. And get ready for that pointy trophy. Be careful. Accidents do happen.
Oh, jeez, that came out like a threat.
All right. Well, look, that takes us to the end of the episode, but it doesn't take us to the end of this current round. We still have 5 Daredevil episodes, which will be coming out a week from now and for 4 weeks after that. So there's that to look forward to. We'll read each of those Daredevil stories out in the same way as we've done the shortlist, and we'll break them down in excruciating detail, excruciating for the Daredevils who've signed up for that privilege.
I just want to mention too that the shortlisted authors, you've got little upgraded badges there on the honor roll. So yeah, if you go to our website, notquiterightpodcast.com, and just look at the honor roll section, you will find your new badges there, and you can wear them with pride. Not a physical badge.
You can. There's nothing stopping you printing them off.
There's literally nothing stopping you.
Pinning them to your toga as you walk about town.
That's red flag material, but all right, go on. And also, we don't want to spoil the surprise and let you know that you've won some money until this episode comes out. But once you've heard it, if you want to get in touch, we will hook you up with your prize money straight away. Otherwise, we'll wait as long as I can possibly stand before I get in touch with you to make that happen. And another little special treat is that the leaderboard needs to get updated, Ed. So, so by the time this episode comes out, we will have a new leaderboard to share too. And that's going to impact a few authors, I think, like people who've made the long list as well get an extra point. So,
so this is the leaderboard on the community part of the site. So we track who's the winningest author, basically. 3 points for a win, 2 points for a shortlisting, and 1 point for a long listing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, could be a bit of a shake-up. I haven't crunched the numbers yet.
I think so. Well, because, you know, we've got a few newbies up here and it's high on the list, but we've also got some people who've had a few brushes here and there before. So I look forward to seeing how that turns out. Critiques-wise, I mentioned in the long list episode, but they do often take us a while to get out to you, and that's because we're putting our heart and soul into them. So you'll probably get them just a couple of weeks before the next round commences. If you do have any concerns about that, please reach out to us. But yeah, we'll be working on those and getting those to you. And also, you know, we've just had Flesh Fiction close. So this is our erotic fiction competition.
It's very sad that it's closed. It's been like ticking away in the background for so long.
I know, we've kind of just forgotten about it. And, you know, I'm sure a few authors have forgot about it, and I hope they got their stories in by the deadline, because the deadline has now passed. But now comes the fun part of reading, judging, and getting on with that particular comp as well. So look, this is one we're going to be doing in our spare time, inverted commas, which we do not have. So we don't have an update yet on how that judging process will evolve, but we will certainly keep you in the loop once we have more information to share.
Yes, that's to be fleshed out, if you will. But look, in my experience of writing for that competition and also reading some of the stories, I've got a lot to say. So I can't wait to talk about that.
Okay. All right. I'm feeling very awkward about it. Are we reading the winners? Is that what's going to happen? Because if they're in first person, I'm reading them all, am I?
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
We'll need to work this out. Maybe we can get some
Celebrity voiceovers.
Yeah.
Maybe.
And then we're looking forward to the October round, which is going to be the final round for the anti-prompt.
And the final round for the year too.
Yes, it's a little bit of a funeral, a bit of a send-off to the anti-prompt. Tickets are available. Check it out.
Bring your friends, please.
Yeah.
And, well, it's not like we've had a long relationship with this anti-prompt. It's,
It's been 2.5 years, let's say.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed the huge variety of these stories that have been sparked, and
it's a bittersweet.
It is bittersweet, but I am looking forward to the next chapter, and I think it's going to be lots of fun. So I hope you'll stick around with us for that. But in the meantime, absolutely jump on those tickets for October. I know by this time of the year, everyone's creative energies, and we're all getting pulled in different directions, but it's going to be one to remember, I think.
So before we go, another huge thanks to everyone who entered. I had lots of fun this round. It was our biggest round to date. So an amazing response. It's been amazing not only reading your stories, but hearing the great things that you have to say about us, about the podcast, about the comp on social media, and also in your feedback to the comp. So this has been such a rewarding thing for us to do, and we're glad you're enjoying it. And we love you so much.
We do. And long may it continue. And I really enjoy connecting with everybody. That's what this is all about for me as well. And I'm just so grateful to everyone who engages and just throws their whole selves into this, even if it is just in that last 2 hours before the deadline. But really, really appreciate it. And obviously would not exist without you. So thank you so much. But that's it. That's it for the shortlist. And it's always a little bit sad, but I am so relieved that we've got the Daredevils.
And excited that everyone knows now.
I know.
Keeping this secret for so long.
So I hope everyone's celebrating. Pop that champagne, and we'll see you again soon.
And we'll be back in a week's time with our first Daredevil. But until then, ride on.
Ride on.
Thank you for listening to Not Quite Right. If you'd like to reach us via email or follow us on social media, you can find all the links on our website, notquiterightpodcast.com. That's WRITE. And if you enjoyed the show, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcasting app.
Something doesn't seem quite right.